Okay. Now, now I think. Aha! Now we're working. Cool. Ah, I see.
Haha, there's two of us. I'm
There's
married.
there's two of oh yeah, there's two of us here. I'm trying to see how I get. Yeah, I gotta do the AB thing. Nope, not the
It's
AB
being
thing.
live streamed. Okay.
Boom. There we go. So I can change my
Cool.
this to this. Cool. All right. This is
Cool.
what I was trying to figure out and how we get this work, how we make this work. So now I'm gonna just open up a new VS Code window, and we're gonna call this little fun experiment um, better explaining functions. Uh, and the reason I have convened you for this is that I truly believe that whatever it is that they were trying to explain, they did not do great. There was a lot of things that could have been improved on. The nice thing about this as well is I can see Zoom messages and stuff, and then I can put them up on the screen if we need to. So,
Okay.
with that being said, also I learned that Ecamm it works with the Zoom thing. You just got to start in Ecamm, not start in Zoom, uh, which is fine, I guess. So, without further ado, let's jump into the scene. Boom. I see me. I don't see you. Where? How do we get you back into this?
I'm hiding.
I know you are. Fix it. Oh, here we go. Okay, cool. All right, so we're both here. I'm here. You're there. Sweet. Um, and also, you're just significantly
Probably turn on my light.
taller than I am. All right, chat. So we're going to talk specifically about functions in Python. We're not going to talk about help. Help can't be helped in this. So we're just gonna just go ahead and ignore the thing around help. All help does is return what's in the doc string. If I haven't made that clear now by now, I'm sorry. So you understand how to create a new function, right? Why can't I hear you? Why can I not? Oh, you're muted. That's why.
Because I'm muted and I
Okay, I was
skipped
about to
them.
say. I was about to be so upset if
By defining it,
by defining it. Okay, do you know why you would create a function?
if one doesn't exist,
I mean,
no.
like what purpose does a function serve?
Oh, if it's going to be used in like multiple times throughout, I guess a coach.
Yes,
Like,
yes, we'll accept that. That
okay,
works. I mean that's a great answer. If anytime you're doing something and you have a subset of code that needs to be ran multiple times, then running it as a function allows you to do that, or defining it as a function that does that. And like you said before, we create our function where, um, what's our fun little project going to do today?
um, count sheep.
Count sheep. Okay.
I just I'm looking at a vinyl that has a lamb on it, and that's all. Actually, I think it's a goat.
Okay, that's fine. So we're gonna count sheep, right? No, Copilot, stop cheating. Um, I don't even know what it was asking, but we're just gonna disable completions for right now. All right, so we're gonna count sheep, right? All right, so the way that you would initially define this is you would call count sheep. Y is my thank you. There you go. Okay. So true, this does not count sheep yet, but this is a function where we've defined, and I'll make this bigger. No, no. Try that again. Um, there we go. All right. So inside of our function, we can do a handful of things. The first thing that we can do is tell people what this is doing. And that's where that doc string comes in. Those triple quotes counts the number of sheep passed in. All right. So that's kind of just says what it does. Pretty simple, cut and dry. It is what it is on the tin. Now,
I have a question about the triple quotes. Is it triple quotes or the hashtag?
so
Or
a docstring has to, if I remember correctly, a docstring has to start with triple quotes. Someone
Gotcha.
who thinks I'm wrong, tell me. Like, I don't think this works. Maybe it does, but this is the convention, is that you
Okay.
would use triple quotes. Um, so, all right. So if we're counting sheep, what should we? What do we need in order to count sheep?
Uh, Numbers? I mean, we need sheep.
Okay, so we need sheep. So that would be a thing that we pass in. Maybe this is a list of names of the sheep, and we return how many sheep there are. So we do like names of sheep. And this is a thing that I don't know. Hey, learner, we made it back. We figured it out. This is a thing that they didn't talk about yet. I'm going to talk about it because, again, it's powerful. It's powerful if you learn how to use it. So this is the idea of using a docstring. So there are a few things, there are a few ways that we could do this. If we want to, let's change our docstring to actually say what it's doing. Takes all the sheep and returns the count, the number of sheep provided, right? So that's what we're doing. You give me the names of the sheep, and then I will give you how many sheep you've passed in. And this. And the way that we would do that is two ways. And the first thing we have to decide is, how do we accept sheep? Do we want sheep to be, let's see. And again, I do the if name equals main thing just because you will see this as a convention, so you might as well get used to it. So how do we want to pass these sheep in? Do we want to pass it in as a list to where we're like J, Jan, Jadamian, because why not have all of them start with a J? So like we could pass it in like that, right? And then if we're doing that, then we would want just the length of names of sheep, right? So we can do that. That's an option. And we want to return this. We wouldn't want to just specify it. So again, return, then names of sheep. If we run this now, yes. We run sheep.py, we get nothing. Why do we get nothing? Well, because we ran the function, but we didn't tell it to actually print the output.
Return anything?
Yeah, we just called it. So we're just, when you just call it like that, it doesn't do anything. This is a thing that I wish, when people use Jupyter Notebooks, they overlook this really quick, like just out of nowhere, purely because like Jupyter Notebooks doesn't really talk about it. Jupyter Notebooks will always output whatever the last line is. Regular Python don't do that. Like that's not how Python works. You got to tell it you want the thing. That's a thing that Jupyter is doing. You have to print the result of this. And this is that nested function thing that they were talking about. This is not a higher order function, but calling a function that calls a function. Here's what we've done in some ways. All right, so now we say print sheep, we get 3. Again, we can make this even fancier by doing an F string and saying there are that. So now when we return it, there are 3 sheep. Just like that. So.
And the F string, you have to put the F string for return. The literal F.
Oh yeah, if you're returning, like if you're going to use an F string, you have to put the F in the front. There are other ways that you could write this F string. You could do, see, it doesn't even want me to do that. It's like, what are you doing? Like, no, we use F strings around here. Like you could do this and it would do the same thing.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. The
Gotcha.
F strings are life. F strings are like the most beautiful thing in Python, except for maybe the walrus operator. But F strings are amazing. Nested F strings are just like, you can do it, but why? So yeah. So what we've done is like, this is it. One of the things that they didn't talk about, I don't know why they didn't talk about it. They haven't gone into type hinting yet. If you're going to do this, it would probably be better to say list of any, because technically sheep can be anything, and you're just returning, and you're going to return a string. And this goes into that, like, being able to talk about what we're doing in a way that it makes sense. So now when we read this, we would say we define count sheep, which handles names of sheep, which is a list of anything, and returns a string.
Gotcha. And you would have this would be more functional, like more functional code base, like if someone else is coming in.
Yeah.
To read it afterward, because I assume what they were having us, how they were having us right before, is like, hey, you're learning this, so you're going to be the one doing this, versus this being like, hey, this is the way that you'd want to write this because you're not going to be working solo for most of your career.
Well, the thing is if you notice how this explanation here changed, it'll still interpret that it returns a string because we're returning a string. That's kind of obvious. It'll be obvious inside of the actual code, but notice how it says names of sheep is just anything now because we haven't defined it to be anything. Whereas if we say it's a list of anything, yeah, now it's just a list. We could even say specifically we want to be a list of string objects. So now it tells you this is a list of string objects. So if someone's using count sheep in some other file and they don't know what count sheep looks like, this helper now says, oh, names of sheep should be a list of strings, and it should return a string.
Okay. And
Yeah.
specifically because you're making a definition of a function.
Yeah. And
it can be used anywhere. Therefore, you should have a complete, I guess, document of what that function does.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And this is purely convention. This isn't a like enforcement of that detail. If I could put a number in here, technically the code will work. It'll still work. This will run. It'll just say that there are 4. It might, but what we're telling when we do type hinting in Python, types in Python are not enforceable. They are more suggestions. Like, I'm telling you that this is what you should put in this. If you put something else in it, I will try to run it, and we might run into an error. Now, of course, you can write code that does a check and says, hey, if not all of these items are this, then return a type error or something like that. But that's way outside the scope of this. We're just saying that we want this to be a list of strings. Now, the thing that they didn't talk about, what else could we talk about here? We want, maybe we assign them to a shepherd, right? That's going to be another string. That's going to be the name of the shepherd. And again, because conventions are a thing that exist, we could say parameters, and then you would have something like names of sheep. And this is where, like, we talk about parameters, or we talk about conventions, and like conventions being kind of unnecessary nowadays. A lot of this, because you have type hinting, all of this says the same thing. Sometimes you'll have things like this specifically for the sake of when someone writes help, then it works. Hey, we got some friends in the chat. Hey, friends in the chat. Laura.
That's a great name.
Yeah. Laura's awesome. Laura, I started working on some render engine stuff earlier today. So that's just kind of a by the way. Um, returns a string specifying the shepherd and their number of sheep. Something to that effect, right? So now, yeah, so like now if we wanted to say, again, help count sheep, when we run this, what we should get is, I'll make this a little bit bigger. We get all this information. Takes all the sheep and returns the number sheep provided, parameters, name of sheep string, shepherd string, returns the string specified.
Oh, that makes help make way more sense now as well.
Yeah. But again, like I feel like we're in this weird space where right now there's a conversation about whether or not we should be able to just say, because again, all of this stuff is defined already. We can just say this space dash string. And now when we do the same help, did something not get saved? No. That is wrong.
That's weird.
I'm confused. I am very confused on what it is, how it is. Is that just stored? I think that's stored in memory somewhere. Yeah, something's stored. Something's stuck in memory here. Hold on.
That's interesting.
There we go. Okay, cool. I was like, what is it doing? There we go. Okay, yeah, see? Now we have the updated memory thing here. So counts sheep, names of sheep, list string, shepherd string, returns a string, takes all the sheep and returns the number she provided. So like, which one of these is right now? We don't really know. We haven't decided. Also, the reason that was popping up was because I never exited out of that the help interpreter. Help is like a whole thing, and you got to quit help, otherwise it sticks around. So, in most cases, I will write a doc string like this. Occasionally, I will say like, okay, we do like names of sheep or whatever. Names of sheep I will only really ever define this if I'm doing like some wildness here of like the names of sheep based on the SPP standard or something like that. You know, something that's going to be like not. I made that up. I made the standards thing up. But like if there's information that I need to convey that you can't get purely from the doc string. A good example of that is, do I have one here? I should have one here. Okay, yeah, perfect. So module site, right? Module site in this param is an annotated tuple with 2 strings. That doesn't tell you anything. But in the doc string, I'll say module site is a Python module and initialized site class. So like that's telling you of what it is. It's giving you more information on what it is versus just like, it's a string. It does string things. So yeah. Now we can go and we'll, just to make shepherd actually useful, we'll say, instead of there are, we'll say shepherd.
Shepherd has.
Yeah, shepherd has sheep. We can possibly even do another F string here, which is sheep precision parameters. I like it. It can just be names of sheep directly. So now we run it and we got, I did a thing wrong. Something didn't get saved right. Oh, yeah. I don't know what that Q is there. Oh, I forgot how you do the whole, like, just run. I I thought it was shift enter, but I was wrong. Count sheep is missing a required positional argument shepherd. That I'm glad that this popped
Shepherd
up.
hasn't been defined yet.
Shepherd has been defined, but we didn't pass it in when we passed in count sheep. So this is why having things like this are so important. Of like, hey, what if we don't have shepherd defined? Well, okay, maybe we just say shepherd is none. Well, if we do that, well, congratulations. That means this needs to be a string or none. One of those two things. It can be one, it can be both, it could be neither. Expected found what? I'm trying to figure out what it's talking about. Nothing important. Oh. There we go. I did it backwards. Basically what we're saying is shepherd can be a string or none, and by default it's a none. So.
Oh, that's how it works.
Yeah. So then we could just say shepherd, or let's do shepherd or.
See, but you defining this right now makes it a lot simpler to think about what they were, or what Kegel was saying about it can be a number or, but should be three. Like now I know that I can put in like num equal 3, I guess that would work.
No, that was me trying a thing. I was just genuinely interested in if that would work, and it does not work. But yeah, we could also just say that this, by default, we're just going to call it the shepherd, right? So now if we don't pass in sheep, we say the shepherd has 3 sheep. Jay, Jen, and Damien, right?
Jadamian.
Furthermore, we can do that whole set. Yeah, Jadamian, my bad. And we can say, oh, we can't do that. That's fine. Never mind. This is cool. Sweet. Let's do this. Just come on. There we go. Put it on a new line. Which is fine. Just so it's easier to read. The shepherd has 3 sheep. Jay, Jen, Jadamian. So now, what we've done is we've made it so that shepherd has a default value. So here's another thing that we can do, and this is a thing that I think Dairo, who's in the chat, was talking about earlier, which is the idea of you can tell it, I only want things to be defined a certain way. And we're going to do this first with the idea of args and kwargs, which are arguments and keyword arguments. Kwargs are just keyword arguments. So you have args and you have kwargs, like that. So args are things that you just pass right in and you don't think about what they're called. So this is an arg. This is an arg. Names of sheep is an arg. Shepherd is an arg. So I could say, we do J, or we won't say J. We'll say, hold on one second.
It's here.
No. All right. So if we have something like, so now we're saying Laura is the shepherd. And we're saying the sheep are Jay, Jen, and Jadamian. So the reality of this is this works. This is great. But let's say 6 months from now, I'm using this in some other file. Which comes first? Does the shepherd come first? Does the sheep come first? I don't remember. How would I? Sure, I could use help, but another thing that I could do, or even better, you've got, we'll do this. We'll say inspector, who is the person doing the counting. So now we have to have, we'll make Dyro the inspector. So who's the inspector and who's the shepherd? In 50 lines of code, as I'm reading this, Prince counts sheep, J, Jen, Jadamian, Dyro, Laura. Who are the sheep? Who's the inspector? Who's the shepherd? As I'm reading this, it is incredibly hard to figure that out. But now I can say names of sheep, which let's just shorten this to sheep, which is fine. Make life a little easier. So we could say sheep equals this list, J, Jen. We'll drop the J. Just make it Damien.
But it has to be Jadamian.
Okay, we'll bring it back, Jadamian. There. And then we can add a comma. And then we can say the inspector is Dyro. And the shepherd is Laura.
And those commas at the end of each definition of the variables is just so it's telling Python, hey, this is the next variable. Is that correct? Or next line?
It's the next argument that it's the next arg that you're assigning. Because these can all be on the same line. I'm just putting them on different lines because it's easier to read that way.
Okay.
Yeah. So now when we do this, you should get the same thing, which of course we just say report is equal to this, and we print the report, right? Something like that. So we're saying report equals count sheep, this information, and the shepherd. These are our arguments in which we've now defined, which make this easier to read. I'm gonna put you on some advanced game, but I want to make sure that you're still tracking, right? You're still tracking?
I believe so.
Okay. I mean, as long as right now we're good. If we print this,
yeah,
we should still be.
If you print this, you should get sheep inspector and shepherd.
Well, we'll do this as reported by inspector. There we go. So you still get the same thing. Yeah, Laura has 3 sheep. Jen, Jadamian, as reported by Dyro. So we're still going through all those things. The function is getting more involved, but ultimately we're doing all the same things. So this is one way of doing this. This would be the conclusion of does function things. Here's how you function. Here's how you create a function that does a thing. You have the definition of your function. You have the different parameters in which you assign to that function that you would then pass in when you call it. You have your docstring, which provides a little bit of help for both editors as well as, other things. Maybe you have, let's see, inspector, and that's going to be a string. And again, I'm just making up my own little convention here. The name of the inspector, And then you have shepherd, which would be this. And maybe this doesn't return a string. Eventually it returns like a CSV file or something, or it does like a report on each of the sheep. And sheep is a class that has all this information about it. So whatever. So we have all of this. All of this gets written in so that it's looking great. If we ever did want to do help on count sheep, we would now get this. Or when we use this, brother, why are you like? Why did that put that all on? Did it really? It really just like threw all that stuff on one line. I'm just trying to make it look good in the editor. And there's a reason for doing this. Like, because again, if I'm...
Make it legible.
Yeah. Okay, so... Lovely. This is what I wanted it to do. I wanted it to figure out how to... Hold on, Zoom's telling me I got to give them money, otherwise they'll hijack.
Cut you off?
Yeah. Take my money, you tyrants.
Surprised don't have lifetime Zoom. I feel like that should be a... If you work for Microsoft, you just get lifetime Zoom access. No matter
They
if
use
you work
Teams.
for them.
They use Zoom.
Oh, you're right.
It's being dumb because it says like, oh, you've only got one. Thank you. Change payment. There we go. Nope. Yep. PayPal. Why not? Yeah, pay with PayPal.
I just unplugged something from my computer, and I have no idea what I unplugged.
Thank you,
So all of a
streamers, for doing the thing, for helping cover this educational lesson with your subscriptions and other things.
I fall off in 7 minutes. It's because I refuse to pay for Zoom.
Nah, I fixed it. You should be good now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So, sweet. Beautiful. All right. So, this is one way. And again, when we talk about having conventions, because what I did was use a more standard convention, when we go to actually do this thing, we now get this. This is different. I don't know why it's doing like inspect. Like, this stuff is just wrong.
Why, just cutting it off halfway?
But it detected that I was trying to follow some convention, and it was like, I don't know what that is, my guy, but it's wrong. But I'm gonna try it anyway. I don't even remember what it's supposed to be. I thought it was that, but apparently I'm wrong. Cause yeah, it's doing some goofiness, but it is what it is.
And I assume you just find the conventions in the Python documentation.
There's some there's like some good notes on like doc strings and stuff that you could use to get it.
Gotcha.
But it's like Sphinx. It's like the Sphinx style thing. I forget.
Never even heard of that. But
sounds
good.
NumPy. Hold on, doc string styles. Here we go. No, we just decided that we're not going to do doc string styles. Doc string styles. Doc string conventions, PEP 257, one-line doc strings, multi-line doc strings, handling doc string indentation. Nope, that's not it. That's not what I was looking for. I should bring this over here. There you go. Y'all can see this.
DuckDuckGo.
Yeah. Format styles. Here we go. Display doc strings, basic writing of doc strings, NumPy style. I keep saying, I was saying Sphinx, but it's not NumPy style. So this is like NumPy style, which is like a thing, kind of similar to what we were doing. And we have Google style. Google style is what I've used. See, I was close. So
it's args, not params.
These are that like that. And again, it still may not work correctly. Okay, yeah, there we go. So args, name of sheep, it's a string, the names of the sheep, da da da. This is where like when they were as they were talking about it, I was like, this would be great if it actually did the thing. Because if it actually did the thing, like then you get to go into your inspector and you can talk about what it's doing. And then you can say here, you can do returns, and it returns string with the shepherd, the sheep, and the inspector, right? So then again, we can look at it and like boom, returns output, which is this. If we learn the actual format, then there's a ton of value in doing the right thing. Okay, so yeah, it's just returns string like this. Boom, boom, returns string, the shepherd, the sheep, and the inspector, right? So you can do these kinds of things. So now I'm gonna zoom out a little bit more because we're getting pretty big. So now you have all of these things. There's a couple of things that we can do here that make this a little bit easier, right? So the only thing that's different is the list of sheep. And this is similar to how print works, where you can say you can print multiple, J, and then you want your separator to be, I don't know, 21, because apparently we like 21 Savage or something. I don't know. So like, if you did this, what we should see is it would run. Yep, Lara has 3 sheep. J, Ginge, Damien is reported by Dyro, 21, and then J. But how did we know the difference between the report J and this separator?
I don't know because it looks like they're all jam-packed together on the line. But I guess it's because the definition of report, I'm assuming.
So you're very close. I'm gonna lower your volume just a little bit, just so that.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine.
I realize I am like coming towards the mic.
No, 100%. Like I just had it up to 100, and like my mic is also not set to 100, which means if I clip this for anything, then it'll be like
me screaming at you.
Exactly. So the way that print does this is actually pretty cool. Python has this convention of passing in arguments as like a list of things. Now, the only rule for that is everything after the list of arguments has to be keyword arguments. So we would have to go, let's see. The way that we would do this is we would take sheep. We would put an asterisk after it. So now what we would do, and we'll say the inspector has to be a keyword argument. A keyword argument has to have a default. So we'll just say the inspector as the default argument. So now sheep is still a list of strings, but we don't pass it as a list of strings. Now we pass it as 3 individual strings like that.
And that's because the asterisks?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why does the asterisk make it so that you don't have to do it as a list anymore and you can just do it as strings?
Because what the asterisk is kind of it's like syntactic sugar is what we call it. but it's effectively saying the same thing. Which if we run it,
But
we
the
should.
asterisk is making it a list.
Yeah. The
Oh,
asterisk is
okay.
saying everything that you define here is going to be a list of items.
Okay.
Another thing that you can do with this the same way is you can also, let's just cut this and we'll tab over, we'll say sheep is equal to this list of strings or this iterable of strings. And you can just say star sheep. Does the same thing. It just unpacks that list.
Okay. I guess my question is, at any point in the report, can you add, like, let's say we put input next to sheep, can we add to that list using an input function?
You could put it inside a sheep. You couldn't put it inside the report.
Okay, that's
input.
That's my only question.
Name a sheep. Like you could do that.
Okay. But yes, you can do the same thing at the top level of the definition of the function as well, not just there where it says sheep.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That clears up my confusion.
Now, don't worry, it's gonna get more confusing. Oh. I'm kidding. A little bit. So there are a couple of ways that we can do this here. So this asterisk, the one thing to remember about that asterisk is everything after the asterisk value has to be defined. It has to be specifically named out. It has to be, you have to say, the inspector is this person. The shepherd is this person. So you could also, let's do this another way where we're going to say now the big thing that we care most about is the shepherd. Boom. If we do this, what do you think will happen? With the exact same code, with the report, counts, sheep, inspector, shepherd.
Well, it's missing the inspector part, or the shepherd part, correct?
Well, the shepherd's right there. We said the shepherd's Laura.
So if you scroll up, how it says string equals the instructor, or I'm sorry, the inspector, colon string equals the inspector. I'm assuming shepherd needs the same function unless, because it's the first one in the line, it doesn't, but that doesn't make sense. I assume it's not going to work.
Okay, you don't think it's going to work?
Or it's not going to work correctly.
You are correct.
Not for the right reasons. Okay. Not for the right reasons.
Do you see what it said though?
I thought I did.
Do you see where'd the error message go? Count sheep got multiple values for the argument shepherd.
Is it because shepherd isn't defined as the string equal the shepherd?
No. It's because we passed in shepherd here as a value, but up here we said
sheep is the value.
Yeah, because look at the order in which things are called.
Oh, it's in the wrong order, so therefore it's not going to work.
Yeah. Now, if we didn't have this unpacking item here, if this is just list, and in here we have our list, and we said sheep is equal to sheep, inspector is equal to inspector, and shepherd is equal to Laura, this works. The only time the order matters is when you tell it that the order matters.
And so that, you would tell it the order matters using the little asterisks.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not confused. It's fine. You're confused.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So again, the asterisk, all the asterisk does is tell you that there's an importance to order. So, So with that, we can also just do that.
okay. I think.
You're like, this is you just put an asterisk all by itself. What does that do? The asterisk all by itself is wild. First of all, you're not going to see this a lot, but it does exist in some places.
Okay.
This is really good when you're looking at things like some things are best just flat out named. And this is really good when you have a bunch of strings, you have a bunch of names of people, you have a bunch of students, and you have a teacher or whatever, and you can't pass them in as a list. So let's just get rid of sheep in this.
Because we can't use the list.
Well, I'm just saying, the list is not important really.
Okay.
So if we wanted to use the same count sheep, we just need the shepherd and the inspector, right? So we could say,
Sure.
we say Jay, we say Damien, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just hard code, for now, we'll just hard code the sheep in. So we'll just say sheep is equal to, honestly, it doesn't even matter. They don't even need names. Sheep 1, sheep 2, sheep 3. Because we're just getting the length of the sheep. We're just getting the length of the sheep. It doesn't matter.
Okay. So 4 sheep have been downgraded.
Yeah, the length of the list, none of that is important anymore. So now we just say count sheep, Jay and Damien. Who's the shepherd? Who's the inspector?
I'm going to assume the asterisk is the beginning of the function return. So I'm going to assume that you're the inspector and I'm the shepherd.
We'll get rid of this. Okay. Who's the sheep?
Oh.
Who's the shepherd? Who's the inspector?
You're the shepherd and I am the inspector.
Correct. So if we run this, yep, Jay has 3 sheep as reported by Damien. Perfect. Now, without looking at line 1, who's the shepherd? Who's the inspector?
I don't know. How am I supposed to know that?
Exactly. This is the problem with how we often teach functions. Is now you are trying to force someone to remember who is the shepherd, and who's the inspector, or what is value A, what is value B. What if it was backwards? What if the inspector was named first? Well, we don't know. So the way you fix that is you either manually name them. You say the shepherd is equal to J. You can't do this. This doesn't work. You can't say the shepherd is equal to J and then, yeah, because a positional argument follows a keyword argument. That don't work. You can say J and inspector is equal to Damien. This will work. And the reason this works...
Why?
Yeah, exactly. The reason this works is because Python will always, by default, start in order. So you assigned a value, it assigned that value to the first argument, which is shepherd.
Okay.
So then it said, well, what's left is inspector, so I'm good with inspector being next.
So I guess my question is if you don't have the definition of that first function, how are you supposed to assume that? Like, if I didn't know that shepherd came first in this definition, would I just use the help?
Yep.
Or the okay.
Yep.
Okay.
You'd either use help, you'd use VS Code, whatever. You would like hover over this, and it would say it takes shepherd, it takes inspector, and you could go from there. But this is why it's so important to have things like a doc string that clearly defines what is what. Now,
sure.
Similar to what...
If I had headphones on, you can't see the smoke coming out of my ears.
And this is my whole frustration with functions, is that functions are complicated. In most cases, you can just write your functions like this and be perfectly fine. More of what I'm trying to show you is that you have options. So now, if you provide this asterisk, again, we talked about that asterisk.
Oh, God. Mm-hmm.
No, this is fine. This will no longer work.
I can't wait, the function altogether will no longer. Count sheep takes one positional argument, but two were given. So the asterisk makes it so that you can assign shepherd to J and assign inspector to David, or vice versa, because the asterisk makes the key itself, so therefore everything else is a positional.
The asterisk does it does a couple of things. If you put the asterisk onto a value, it allows you to unpack that value. An asterisk by itself says everything to the left of the asterisk is positional. And you can define positional arguments. You can give the positional arguments a name. Everything to the right of the asterisk
is a key.
It has to be specifically called out. And what you'll do is what we might see is something like this. You might have farm, which is a string, asterisk, shepherd, and inspector. So
farm
now,
always stays the same, the shepherd or the inspector. I'm sorry. The farm can change.
Well, the farm doesn't have to be defined with the keyword. So if we just say land ran by shepherd we're not going to provide the sheep anymore. We're just going to say reported by. So now when we do this, the first thing is farm. So we'll just say Miller farm. And then the next one would be the shepherd. The next one would be the inspector. This will not work. And sometimes this is like saving developers from themselves. Because you've got two names here. You've got Miller Farm. Miller Farm is kind of self-explanatory. It's a farm. Mm-hmm. I don't know who Jay is. I don't know who Damien is. Is Jay the shepherd? Mm-hmm. Is Jay the inspector? I don't know. If I try to run this, it takes one positional argument, but three were given. The positional argument in this was Miller Farm. What's up, Kojo? The other two arguments here have to be assigned. So we fix this by saying Miller Farm, shepherd equals J, inspector equals Damien. Okay. Jumbo's like, what is happening? Melting my brain right now. Again, this is a thing that I learned about. Like, again, I've been using Python for like 8 years. I learned about this like 2 years ago. This is one of those things that as you start writing code for different things, you start trying to figure out, how do I prevent people from hurting themselves? And this is kind of how you do that, of like, it always starts with the farm, but when you just give me two names, I don't know who is who. So to prevent people
they must be assigned.
So they must be assigned. This is
okay. So everything after the asterisk has to be assigned.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I
think we're like 65% there.
There's one more thing that I want to show you, and then we're gonna rebuild this, and we're gonna do it together, but we're gonna do it incrementally. So the last thing that I want to show you is what are called keyword arguments. This isn't going to be in Count Sheep. I can't even figure out how to explain keyword arguments in Count Sheep. We're just going to say sheep report, right? So we're going to get sheep name, ** attributes. And you're like, hold on now, what are these ** attributes you speak of?
I'm glad you read that on my face.
So a keyword argument is effectively saying, I am going to allow you to pass in a dictionary of keys and values that I don't know yet, and that I'm going to work with. Okay, so, by the way, everyone, this is Damien. Damien is a friend of mine. We're in a couple of Discords together. Damien is in the process of learning Python, but is coming from some knowledge of JavaScript, which is why I'm a little bit more comfortable. Like, I'm okay with melting your brain a little bit because I know the underlying foundation of like programming is there. So, like, I'm teaching you these things as they exist in Python, knowing that I'm confident you can handle them. I feel like I love Jen to death. I don't know if I can teach Jen keyword arguments. We we gotta
She'll
we
get
gotta
there.
get her up there. We gotta get her up there. We'll get her there. We need a little bit longer.
Hi,
But
Gojo.
yeah, Kojo's good people. Um, so this is great when you have values and we don't know what the values are quite yet. It's a really cool thing to do. So we're gonna define this sheep report, and we're gonna not
You're missing the
report
S.
sheep report. There we go, and we'll say returns information about the sheep. Cool. Um, Again, we can define our little string here. This is always going to be a dictionary. Like it's always going to be a dictionary. Maybe we can define what the dictionary values are. We'll say string and any. So the keys will always be strings, but the values can be anything.
Okay.
And we're going to return information about the sheep. So we'll say for key value in I'll do key value in attributes.
hmm
We want you to print the, let's see, f string, the, we want to do the, we'll just say key is value, right? So now we don't know what the attributes are. We haven't defined them yet. That might be defined in some other system. Again, we maybe right now we're using the SPP standard. We might use the ESA standard, the European Sheep Association standard, and they have different values. And we don't really care what those values are. We just want to make sure that our report is cool with, whatever values they're going to take in. So now when we run this, we can just do, we'll say, we'll add a comma here. We'll make this 2 lines of 2 things. The report is count sheep, but also sheep report. And we're going to use Kojo. Kojo is our prize sheep. And we're going to say the coat. You gotta do this the right way now. Let's define Kojo the sheep. Kojo the sheep.
Sorry, Gojo.
The coat is black. The age is excellent. We'll say birthplace. It's a U.S. sheep, so it's from USA. And we'll say awards are
All. Excellent means you're just an excellent age, bro.
yeah. And Kojo won Best Sheep 2023.
The best age.
So now the thing is, we just made these up, but we can pass in sheep report. Kojo is the name, and then we'll just pass in Kojo as the args. But that's why we can have nice things. So we can pass these in one of 2 ways. We can either say star Kojo like that, and just like how we did star sheep, it'll unpack these attributes.
Kojo itself. Okay.
Yeah. So if we do this, we should get for key value in attribute. Oh wait. No, wait, really? Oh yeah. That's my fault. That's my fault. Hold on. This is key attributes dot items. Items returns a tuple of key comma value. So it's like for key comma value in attributes dot items, which are key comma value.
Okay, so you have to have that dot items in order to read the
to
dictionary.
just unpack it like this. There are other things that we could do. We could say,
I guess in the if statement for Kojo, if Dairo, if we had another prize sheep named Dairo, we would have to put that inside the if statement as well to
yeah,
add it to the dictionary. Okay.
I did a thing wrong here. We should say return. I gotta do this right. Key comma val or return this. Because I just printed a bunch of stuff and it was like, okay, I'm gonna print a bunch of stuff, but because I printed a bunch of stuff, it changed that to none, which is why we got Miller Farm Damien none. So we got this return key is this value is that for key value and attribute items. Cool. Nope, still wrong. Why can't I? Right there, boom. Keys out for key items. Boom, boom. And we're not even going to get into list comprehensions on this. That's a different thing. So basically, we wrote it very similarly. This is just a Python thing that says we've basically created a list of these things. Yeah, list comprehensions are great. You also have dictionary actually, this is you can also do dictionary comprehensions, which is fun. And now when we run this, we should get, there we go. Miller Farm, ran by Jay, has 3 sheep as reported by Damien. Code is black. Age is excellent. Birthplace is USA. Awards is Best Sheep 2023.
Only question I have right now is why isn't it doing a line break for /n?
I mean, we could tell it to.
No. I just didn't know why it would just do the /n and not do the line break itself.
Oh. We removed the /n, dude. Oh, I see what you're saying. Wait, why is it doing the /n? That's a good question, actually.
Kojo, I did not get that far. I'm not like a super developer or anything. I was learning JavaScript because my previous job. And then I learned like a tiny bit of Python because I was trying to move into oh my god, what's it called? DevOps. Wow.
Why can't I? My keyboard broke on me.
Because it's in the F string, so it's taking it literally. It's not evaluating it.
That'll do it.
See, Kojo, this is why you won Prize Sheep in 2023, and you're probably going to get 2024.
That's so good. That's just funny. That's just fun. I don't care who you are right there. That's hilarious. This incredibly long line here, we're going to break this up just to see. All I did was I combined these and put them in one space. So we're printing this out and saying you're going to print these things, but also the separator is
luckily that's not how you spell my name, but I understand.
Yeah, Damien's got an E, and Damien with an E. So now we have these same things. Now, I said that this is one way that we could go about defining these attributes, is by just unpacking them like this. Another way that we can unpack these is with key value pairs. So, there we go. We could say coat is equal to black. Age is equal to excellent. I just know Kojo's just like, what does that even mean? Oh. And then awards are equal to, again,
excellent just means best age.
Yeah, it's the best age, the right one.
Yeah.
There you go. So only like we could run it like this too, and notice like this is no longer Need it.
That's what I was going to ask. Is I assume it doesn't replace it in the dictionary
No.
of. Okay, cool.
No. All these keyword argument, all this star attributes means is that, and this is why it's important to remember that after you've used a star, everything has to be defined. Because what we're doing is star says everything here, you now have to specify what it is. And it can be unpacked. So you can't add anything after this. We can't say, code is some string and equal to the SSP. Whatever, I forgot what the SSP meant. Yeah, see, we're already getting the thing. And it's like, yeah.
Cheap precision.
A parameter cannot follow star parameters. So after you use star, after you've used those keyword arguments only, those wildcards, you're done. You can't add anything. All right? So now is your turn. It is your turn.
To do what?
We're gonna create a new function. What's this new function gonna do? I am only. You are driving. I am. I
Only
read the
typing?
word. Yeah, I'm only typing.
It's like a driver's test. Have fun.
Driver's test.
Well,
I like it. Driver's.
I guess to redeem myself with Kojo, let's instead of making him a prize sheep, let's make him like an F1 car racer.
Okay. So this is driver's test.py is purely the F1 racing thing. Oh yeah,
Georgia would have Whataburger. Whataburger's
yeah.
from Texas, aren't they everywhere now?
They've expanded. So yes, Whataburger is now in Atlanta, and other parts of Georgia.
I remember seeing Whataburger in Cali, and I was just like, "What?"
There's a Whataburger in Cali?
Yeah,
they can finally put this battle to rest because Whataburger is better than In-N-Out. They aren't.
Yeah.
They aren't the same. They aren't the same type of restaurant. In-N-Out is trying to be. They're trying to play in the realm of Five Guys. Whataburger, don't come after me.
They're not in Cali.
Whataburger is not trying to compete with the Five Guys. They're trying to compete with they're like the best version of whatever Wendy's and like Carl's Jr. is. Where it's like we're
Clover, I think is what they're trying to compete with.
Okay. Yeah, like we're really good at burgers and stuff. We're like a step above McDonald's, but like we're not Five Guys. In-N-Out is like we're not even near Five Guys, but we want you to think that we are. We're gonna be very uppity about it. So in that way, they're kind of competing with each other.
Interesting. I just think Five Guys is way too expensive, but I like their fries.
I mean, In-N-Out's way too expensive. Anyway, all right. So F1 driver's tests. The only thing that I will give you, because we haven't talked about it before, is the if underscore name equals. Oh, push the button. Push the wrong button here. Equals main. I'll give you that because we haven't talked about that yet. Again, I'm only writing. You don't have to include this. I'm only including this because you will see it a lot in Python code, and I want you to get familiar with its existence. All this means is saying if we call this file directly, it's going to execute the if name.main stuff. If that doesn't exist, if you import this from something else, so if from here we imported sheep, the code that was below the if name inside of that if name.main would not run in our driver's test.py
because we imported sheep and it would basically override it.
This goes into a deeper conversation about Python and namespace stuff than I am prepared to talk about at this moment. at this particular moment, I cannot give you the best correct answer. I can only give you the way that I conceptualize it. But all right, so the first thing that you're gonna do, we need to make a function
So define.
that registers participants in a race.
Okay. So def.
Oh, sorry, I'm supposed to be typing. You're right. Def.
um,
And by
Rainbow Road.
okay. Oh, so you're just take it a step up.
Mm-hmm.
When we say register for a race, what we want to do is we just want it to return a list of people registered for whatever the name of the race is.
Oh, okay. Then wouldn't that just? Oh, wait. So if we're just defining a list of people who are going to be in a race, wouldn't that just be a variable, not the definition itself?
Yeah, but what if we want to have several different races? Here, here's the other help I will give you. Here's the other
I
help I
guess
will
my
give you.
question is if def is supposed to be a race, wouldn't the race, and this is probably a semantical thing, wouldn't the race be essentially the track? So if Kojo is racing on Rainbow Road along with Dairo and Jin, wouldn't whatever race, aka raceway or whatever it's called, be the diff? Okay, you're giving me stuff.
No, ignore all of this. This data class here is basically you have drivers.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll say that down here you have Jin is equal to driver. Yeah, well, I'm gonna get rid of awards because I'm lazy.
Red car, clearly. Oh, black car?
Kojo's definitely a black car.
Coach, are you a black car driver? Good question to ask, I realize.
I feel like I spelled Dairo wrong.
D-I. Yeah, no, you nailed it.
Okay. And then we got, we'll do one more. We'll do Jumbo. Green car. Okay. So now what we would want to do is we would want to say we want to register. I'm going to just do register for Rainbow Road and register for
Indianapolis 5000.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it just be registered drivers? Oh, okay. I figured it'd be registered drivers because then it wouldn't define it. It wouldn't matter. You can do either way.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So, what do I do now?
There's a lot. I mean, why did you get rid of dev or define?
Oh, I'll bring it back. Here you
go. Okay. Define race.
Okay.
Sorry, this is
You
just
usually,
false concept.
I mean, congratulations on one of the hardest questions on the planet. How do you define race? But
I the funny part is I don't know if you saw the TikTok of the guy being asked what his least favorite race was,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and he's
yeah,
talking about oh my god, that was gold.
yeah.
Um,
Um, so one, this is a if you learn this early in your Python life, it will help you for years to come.
okay.
When you are creating a function, functions do things. So it's
Mhm.
often good to name them as the thing
Thing
they're
they do.
doing. Yes.
Okay, define. Um, I guess it wouldn't. We don't. So that's why function is usually like two or three letters. Um, not letters, two or three
Words.
words.
Got you.
Um, I don't want to put type of race either because that's worse. Um,
Well, again, you're just registering drivers.
okay, then I guess we put registering drive or registered drivers.
Okay. Now what do I do?
I guess we have to define what registered drivers is. So open parentheses,
Okay.
and then wait, are we just registering drivers and that's all? Or are we actually like registering drivers for for the race?
Okay.
Okay, because now, like in my mind, this definition should be drivers.
What is drivers?
String.
Drivers is a string. Okay.
Um, and then there should also be raceway or race,
Okay. Which is?
also a string.
Okay. And what are we
Oh my
returning?
God, drivers is not a string. Drivers is a
Oh.
list.
Okay. So
Drivers is a list.
okay. It's a list of what?
Um, a list of two strings. So
So
the
here
little, the
here's
little
here's a gotcha that I did this
you
on
like to play
purpose.
with.
I did this on purpose. So we define these as drivers, these
Thanks,
driver
Jojo.
objects.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say it is a list of driver.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
this is where type hinting becomes so powerful because sure a driver is a data class that has two strings in it, has a name and a car,
Mm-hmm.
but now when we were if we ran this, we would say drivers is a list of these driver type objects.
Gotcha.
And then if we were
So,
like, what are these driver type objects? Then you look at that and you go, oh, a driver type object is a class that has a name and a car associated with it.
so you essentially preempted us having to make a list that says string and string by making a class that says driver.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm asking a lot of like preliminary questions.
No,
I
it's
just don't
fine.
want to.
It's fine. Like I said, all we did was we gave our drivers multiple attributes in which they could be pulled from, which information can be pulled from. So what we now wanted to do was we gave that its own space. We gave it a class driver so that that driver has different attributes of name and car. So that now when we start defining our function and we start pulling things out of that driver, then we can know, hey, this list or this function is expecting drivers. So if we said driver.name or
Mm-hmm.
driver.car, we expect that information to be there because we've said it has to be there because we've assigned this data class and we've said that this function expects a list of drivers. So it allows us to write our functions with more direction for the user because the user can like trust that, okay, well, we wrote this for drivers, so now we know that we're going to be calling things that we would expect the driver to have. or to possess. And like Kojo said, data classes are also relatively new in Python. The reason I went for data classes is because I didn't want to do the class driver, def, dunder, init, self, that thing like name, car.
I like data class better.
Yeah,
Way better. Let's just do data class.
We'll get into that stuff. It's just
Jesus.
this is a lot easier to wrap your head around in terms of like what it's doing.
Okay, yeah, a lot easier. Okay, we now have the definition for.
We also haven't said what this is doing yet.
No, so we have to semicolon.
Okay.
I don't like the way you said okay. I feel like that's wrong.
No, this works. This works.
Okay, so see now I want to type it myself to make sure what I'm doing is right, even though I know it's not.
No. Okay, what are you thinking that you should do?
Well, first, I guess we have to define it. So triple quotation.
Okay.
Trying to figure out how I want to define this. Takes drivers. No, it's not taking. Yeah, it takes drivers. Returns. No, that's not right. Takes raceway or takes race and returns drivers on track. And we should probably change race to raceway just because that feels weird as shit.
Okay. Take care, Kojo. Okay, cool.
Kojo leaving us?
Yeah. Kojo said
Later,
he got things
Kojo.
to do. Good luck on this year's best sheep contest.
In the back. And he's gonna win this race as well. Okay. Takes race to return drivers on track. Should we, in this definition, of params, say that drivers are a data class?
Yeah, I mean we can, sure.
Well, would that be normal? Is the question because there's a data class for it. I'm asking because I don't know.
No,
I would assume you would always, or args, not params. I would assume you'd always want to have your args defined for anyone who comes after, just based off of what you were telling us before.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess driver. Would be...
How about before you do that, and this is a thing that you can also do. Remember, we're using a particular format for this this version of code.
Mm-hmm.
We would want to do register drivers for race, and then we have, how would we pass this in? What would this look like?
Would it be drivers?
No,
it'd be I assume list.
We can do that. And we can just do driver 1, driver 2. That's fine. And then
string. Is that how it's? I guess the example is. The example itself. Are we just defining what it should look like once it's printed? Are we defining
an example? We were going to pass in how we would call it and what it would return. And what do you want it to return?
I assume it return raceway.
Okay, so some raceway.
And then drivers. Sorry, I'm disappearing for a second because I'm moving my desk. Um, Drivers on track, and then the definition of or the list of the drivers.
Oh, on tracks, huh? You got them on. You got them on tracks. What? Okay. I like this. I like this. I like you're expanding the universe here. So let's say some race or some raceway or some race. Interesting. Some race.
Some raceway would be the right one because that's
So,
what you put.
that's what we
Before,
called
correct?
it. We called it some raceway. Yeah. Technically, I didn't shouldn't be capitalized because I didn't capitalize it. So some raceway, and then we got. You said drivers. Okay.
On track.
So now you're assigning them a track. I think you can do this. I think that would actually be kind of cool if you did this, because it would allow me to teach you a thing in Python that we haven't talked about, but it's like it's a small like thing. It's not a big thing.
Oh boy.
No, it's so there's this thing called enumeration, which is so in JavaScript, in the old school JavaScript, when you would go through a list, you'd have to auto increment its position in the list. You'd say like, okay, at index 0, da 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 da, auto index. Enumeration gives you a way to identify the object and the object's position in the list. So you could say, if I give you Jin and Kojo, you could say Jin being at index 0, it'll say 0, comma Jin, 1, comma Kojo. And then you could use that enumeration to say drivers on track 0 or track 1, because enumeration will allow you to start at a certain number. So you could start at 1. So you could say drivers on track 1, or driver on track 1, Jin, driver on track 2, Kojo.
Okay, that makes sense.
So driver on track 1 is equal, or Jin, or in this case, driver 1 in the driver 1 car. And again, that's just because of how we know.
You've made the class.
Yeah, driver 2.
Driver on track 2 in the
driver.
Oh, okay, I see. Because it's driver on track, and then it'll say 1.
Oh, sorry. You're right. Track 2, driver 2, and driver 2 car. So this is what you want it to return. You want to, and maybe we'll even add some separation here. We'll say some raceway. Oh, I can't add that in there because it'll look for the thing. Some raceway, driver on track 1, driver in the driver 1 car, track 2, driver in, or let's say
track 2.
Have it be consistent. There we go. Driver 1, the driver 1 car, driver 2 in the driver 2 car.
Gotcha. Just have to add the space behind 1. Or is that? No, the space behind driver 2.
You're right. Basically, this is driver 2 name.
I assume it doesn't matter because this is an example.
Yeah, it's whatever basically, I'm telling you, I want you to find the name and I want you to find the car.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot. Now I have to make it in Python. Fun.
It's not hard. It's doable. You got this.
For you.
You got this. You got this. Just take it piece by piece.
Okay. So first, we already have drivers defined. We don't have raceway defined, but we can add the argument of raceway in there. I have a question though. If we use the since drivers are already defined, can we use the asterisk in next to raceway to define raceways?
You're saying,
so if we do the comma and then asterisk and then comma raceway,
that
can we use that to then, since the drivers are already defined, can we use that to define raceway later on?
Mm-hmm.
No?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, would you want to? I'm gonna leave that up to you. That's kind of your call.
Well, I guess my only question is if what I want to know, I want to have a class for raceway. I assume, or not. You wouldn't have to have a class for raceway. You could have a list or something for raceway. Um, or
How would you call this function for Rainbow Road?
how would I call the
Would
function
you
for
would you
Rainbow
call it
Road?
like this? Would you just say register drivers for race driver 1 2 driver 2 some raceway? What if you're worried about people getting the order wrong? I think that's what you're trying to. I feel like that's what you're trying to say is like, I want to make sure that some raceway is always or that raceway is always defined. That you have to specify
Yes.
that you want it. Okay. So here's what I would tell you. I think what you're trying to do when you have this list of drivers,
Mm-hmm.
I think you wanted to take this asterisk and put it here.
Okay.
Because do you remember what this does?
Makes it a key argument.
That's when you do two of them. When you only
Oh,
do
that's
one.
the opposite. Yeah. No. So that makes it so drivers start first in the argument.
Drivers start first in the argument, but it also makes it so remember everything after the asterisk has to be defined. So you could say driver 1, driver 2, raceway,
And raceway
equals some raceway.
equals some raceway.
Yeah.
This is a lot at once, but it's all good.
You still tracking?
Yeah, I'm just slow in tracking. That's all. Um, I need to. Where's my pen and paper?
I'm also going to save us a little bit of time in this. I'm going to just copy this text because at some point we're going to have to paste this. And we'll just change the name of it up when we get there.
For some reason,
I shouldn't tell you to return.
I've been
yet.
told that the human. Huh?
Nothing. I did a thing and I
told
just
us the-
undid it.
Ah, I see. Okay, we have that argument in more than once. Oh, we have to delete the example.
I
I'm
just,
sorry,
I
the
just
triple
copied.
quotations.
I just copied that example. That way, we don't have to try to type all that stuff out.
Sure. Maybe I'm nervous because I'm on the spot, but so the function itself, we need to have driver.
You don't, and also you don't have to have this. This is if this is confusing to you, you can leave that like this and then just have it pass in a list of drivers. This
No,
is. I mean, this is fine. This would be normal. This would be considered normal. It's not like the. Sometimes it might make sense to pass in a bunch of different attributes and you just unpack them. Print, like that print statement is an exact, like if we looked at what print looks like, it's probably something like define print, statements, and then separator like that.
Mhm.
And that probably just equals none or something to that effect. And then what that means is that you can pass in an infinite number of statements and then you pass them as a separate, and then you have to define separator. But everything that you pass in that doesn't have a keyword assigned to it, it's just going to add it to statements. So like this would work if you had like a bunch of drivers and you were just like, I want to give it as many drivers as I can. I don't want to say driver 1 is this, driver 2 is that, driver 3 is this. But you just
Oh, I
want to
like
say,
that.
Yeah.
I like that though.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, like you can do that. Like that's all that asterisk is doing. So you want
Okay.
you want to keep it
Yeah,
in,
I
or
do
you want
want
to
the
take it?
asterisks.
Okay,
Yeah, I
cool.
do want to keep the asterisks. That makes sense in my head as like something that
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes sense to you like for this code if like that's gonna be passed on to someone else. Doubtful, but you know.
Yeah.
Um. So now we need to make the argument for drivers. So in this, if I were to have Jin or Kojo um, in this example, so I don't know why it's so hard for me to visualize this without typing it out. Uh,
It is hard to do that, by the way.
to visualize without typing it out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So,
But the reason that I like typing it out is because I want you to explain it, and I want to see if I can understand what you're trying to say. Because
okay.
again, that goes back into
That's
that. Like, how do you explain your code, or how do you talk about your code?
um, for this we need an if statement. I'm assuming.
We need an if statement. What are we ifing here?
I don't know. I guess you're right. We don't need an if statement. That'd be silly because there's no if. We're literally just defining the drivers and what they're driving, and what they're driving on. So um,
Some advice
we'd want to
here.
return. Huh?
Some advice here is it may be easier to think of this output as two separate things. So if you said, like, first of all, what is some raceway here?
It, we wanted to find some raceway as the input or the string of raceway. So
Okay.
some raceway equals string raceway.
So we're gonna say, well, we can just say raceway,
Raceway equals and
then
name.
this statement is what we need to define. That's what we need to define. So this is where like all of that work goes into defining. And if you've got more than one thing and you need to iterate through them, how would you do
Mm-hmm.
that?
Like more than one thing on a list or more than one thing.
You want to do the same thing to a bunch of items in a list. How would you do that? Like what's the thing that we're looking for there? I just said it, by the way.
Define what?
No, what is the thing that we are looking for there?
List?
No.
See,
For.
now I'm confused.
For. Do you remember what a for statement does? A for loop does?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
This is why I'm bad at coding because I will forget the things that are important until they're said to me, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, of course."
yeah, driver. Yeah, I don't know. So
I remember that now.
yeah, I'm only bringing this up
Um,
because I remember we talked about this the last time that we did one of
the
these.
last time we talked about. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we talked about a for loop of doing like for driver and driver. What that's going to do is that's going to give you the ability to do this thing here. We're gonna do it out the long way, and then I'm gonna show you how to clean that up in a comprehension so that it's easier to put inside of your print statement. So to do it the long way,
Gotcha.
so we're gonna say for driver and driver.
For driver and driver.
We would want some value. We'll just say value because we're gonna get rid of that anyway. Is equal to what?
The number on the list. So driver one. Maybe track one.
So this is where I was talking about that enumeration. So
Mm-hmm.
enumerate driver. So this is
And that'll actually move it.
This is we're gonna remember for enumerate we get the index and then we get the driver. So that turns this number into that, and then start is we're gonna start at 1 just because that way track 1 is driver 1, track 2 is driver 2. It's not 0.
So enumerate driver and
Yep.
then start is 1.
Start is just saying the starting position
Is
1.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the value would be track start. Well,
Close.
no.
We're
Track
we're getting the index and the driver object. So the track would be what?
the index.
Yep. And then the driver's name would be what?
Driver.
Would it? Can't be the driver because remember the driver is an object.
Uh, well, the driver's name would be the string. So driver. Oh, name. Dot name.
Because it's a class.
Bro. Okay. Class. Fun.
And then now we want the driver's car. So how would we call
Car.
the
So
driver's
it'd be
car?
driver dot car.
Mm-hmm. So the way that we do this to make it easier as a value to put in,
Mhm.
we would say something like, we would just basically take this value, we put it in the front here. We put that on the end, and we wrap the whole thing in square brackets. So we'd have lineup is equal to this. Again, I'm not expecting you to know that fully. I'm making it so that when you return, you can say,
Return.
why can't I do that? There we go. You can now just return that, and that's going to basically print this line for each of the drivers that you pass in.
You scroll down a little bit. I can't see that one. Sorry.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay.
So what are we returning now?
I'm not returning anything because we haven't defined raceway.
Okay, so we're returning the raceway.
Well, would we not return, or would we not define raceway
We already did.
first? Where?
We did. Up here.
Yeah, raceway is a string, but we don't have a name for it, correct?
Well, the
So it's
string
just
is the
gonna
name.
return-
No.
Oh, we just named a string.
Yeah, we just called it a string.
Oh.
We didn't get into the whole like what is the complexity of the raceway, how many laps are there, yada yada yada.
Okay,
like, all that
okay,
stuff.
okay.
We can if you want to. We can.
No,
but
no, that's fine. I'd rather get the functionality working first.
yeah.
So from here we wouldn't want to return. Oh, we'd return. The example we'd return the raceway.
Yep. So raceway.
So that would be straight.
Why can't I can never remember where the me and my goofy keyboard, there we go. It's like I can never remember where the I always do that. At some point I shoo everything away into the ether.
I assume that slash is to make another line break for a new line. Okay.
Yeah.
So at function, raceway, new line, and then we'd want to do lineup. But for this,
I will help you
is the
here
lineup a
because
list?
I will help you here because this is a thing we haven't talked about. If you do it this way,
Dot join.
yeah. What it's saying is I want to give you the items of the lineup and join them as a singular string with the separator being this new line. Again, don't worry about that.
Okay.
We could print it out and it would be a for loop and it would say for lineup in print this yada yada yada, but we want it to be a singular string. So for it to be a singular string, that's how we would write it.
Gotcha.
Okay. So let's run this, right?
Yeah.
Register drivers for race. Now what do I do? We're registering Jin and Kojo for this race.
Yes.
So what do I do?
We would. I can't see everything, so we would want to put. I know it's going to be very particular. Can you click out of the parentheses so I can see the rest of the code?
Sure.
Drivers. Set definition of British race.
We did the thing that you wanted to do so that you wouldn't have to do what you're trying to do.
I see the asterisk and I'm just frustrated. Jen.
There you go. Perfect.
And then you put the comma Kojo or space Kojo.
Yeah.
There would be a space, correct? Or
Space,
it doesn't matter.
The space isn't necessary, but
Python.
it's good practice to include a space.
And then let's add in Dyro so it's a funner race.
Okay.
And then from that comma, we'd want to put in the raceway.
Okay, so how do we do that?
We have to define raceway. But we don't have a list of raceway. So wouldn't we just put... No, because we can define it by just adding it. So wouldn't it just be space raceway equals and then whatever we would want to name the race?
That?
Yeah, I think, but I'm...
What is your hesitation on this? Oh,
I mean, normally if I was typing it out, there would be no hesitation. I would just try it and be like, all right, this failed. Let's go back and do it again. But because, you know, I'm not doing that, I am hesitant to look like a fool on the internet.
Okay, let me ask you, could we just do this?
I feel like we should be able to do that because raceway is already defined as a string, and if we put a string in there, then it seems like that would be correct.
A reminder that Python, while Python is using these type hints to give you fantastic information inside of VS Code, Python does not know nor care about your type hinting. It does not know that raceway is a string.
Oh.
Or that drivers are a list of drivers. We write it that way to help us and to help our editors, not to help Python. Python does not know, nor does it care.
So I guess my question would be, if that's the case, would Jin, Kojo, and Dyro be correct? Or would I have to actually put drivers there as Jin, Kojo, and Dyro?
Jin, Kojo, and Dyro are correct because you added that asterisk.
Okay, but raceway doesn't have the asterisk, so raceway actually has to be defined as raceway equals whatever we put.
And that's only because you defined drivers with the asterisk.
Can you define more than one thing with the asterisk? So if I put an asterisk next to it, that's okay. Okay. Cool.
That's because remember, all this is unpacking a list. So if you get rid of that asterisk, then Jin, Kojo, and Dyro have to be a list of objects.
From drivers. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Unpack the list. So if raceway was a list, I could do that with raceway with the asterisks.
You couldn't do it with both.
Okay, so you can never do it.
Yeah, because how would it know where one list ended and the next one began?
I don't know.
It wouldn't.
Okay.
You will see this used occasionally for some goofy things. You'll see like some function This works. But when people do this, what they're basically saying is, give me whatever you're going to give me. Because then you can call, you know,
Sorry.
you could then pass function, 1, 2, 3, red equals red, blue equals blue. And this would work. I mean, it wouldn't do anything because of how this function is, set up. But notice how the args are just 1, 2, 3, 4. They're called positional. So like you don't give them an assignment. But these keyword arguments, you have to define what they are. You have to assign their key and their value. So this is the exact same thing that we're doing here. The only difference is we didn't assign quarks. That's the only difference. So if we did, we could do this, and we could say red
Equals red.
Yeah, red equals none. Blue, because remember, after the positional, you have to tell it of a thing. So you could do this. This is the same thing where it'll look for what red is, and you say, oh, you told it that red is red and that blue is blue. By default, red would be none or blue would be none. So we could just say, we don't have to define blue here. This would still work because it would just say the default for blue is none. So that's fine. But it won't know where args ends until we give it something else to define.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So you're good. What you've written here is perfect. Like this is exactly what I was hoping that you would get to. But the only
I don't know about quickly, Dyro.
the only time that this works effectively in the function is when you have an open list of things followed by a list of things that you want to define.
Gotcha.
You can, in theory, do, I don't know, announcer, something like this, and then have your list of drivers. You could do that. If you sent me code like that, I would reject it.
Oh.
Because
should announcers be else? You'd want the asterisks first.
Yes. Anytime you're going to do this asterisk trick here, it should be the first thing. The reason that you can do this is because of how Python works. This is a positional argument. So it's going to say whatever that first thing is. Now, Jen is no longer one of the drivers. Jen is the announcer. And then Kojo and Dyro are the drivers. And we can even see that if we go into here. Well, I can't because it won't do the... Yeah, here we go. So see, now Jen is one of the announcers. And as soon as Jen is done, we get into the list of drivers until we define raceway. And then once we get to raceway equals, this should change. Well, it's not going to like that because... Yeah, there we go. Yeah, now it's going to go to raceway. So see, we're in our list of drivers, but because the first thing that we said was the announcer, now Jen has to be that first announcer. And this brings back that confusion that we don't like. Because again, we don't know where this list begins or ends. So my advice to you is, if and only if you are accepting a bunch of items that are the same, and then some things that you will define what they are afterwards, should it be written like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I'm unpacking a list, then use your asterisks.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I guess my question is if I'm going to have an announcer, I don't know what's
No. I'm just.
if I'm going to have an announcer, would I put the announcer like?
That's my fault. I typed the wrong thing in.
Oh.
This is drivers because you're unpacking this list here.
List of drivers.
Yeah, you're not unpacking the individual driver. You're unpacking the list of drivers. But yeah, if you run this, where are we at? What are we? Oh, did it? Well. Oh yeah. It did it. Remember, we returned
Oh,
a
'cause we
string,
didn't.
so we gotta do something with an actual string, like print it.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Now,
Uh, now,
now, bonus, bonus round, and then after this we're done.
okay.
Bonus round, and after this we're done. You got it. We want to share some facts about each driver, but those facts can be anything.
Interesting. So, if we're going to share facts, they would be in the driver's list, but class. So,
Well, hold on.
facts.
Sorry, we're gonna share a fact about the raceway. Doing it about the drivers just makes it way complicated.
Well, I was going to say because if we did it about the driver, we'd have to define facts in their class, and
you
then
put
once
in
we
the data.
define that,
Yeah.
and then once we define that, we would have to have facts
Yep, you're catching on.
added inside of the scroll down driver name, the index in car or in driver.car, and then we'd want to say fact about or something facts. It's just how we would say it, however we would say it.
Yeah. But we just want to pass in some raceway facts.
Okay. So if we're just passing in raceway facts, raceway.string, I guess we would put fact after the string at
Down
the
here?
top in definition.
Oh, up here?
Yeah, would we not put that in the definition?
Yeah, but what if we have multiple facts?
Oh. It would have to be a list.
Yeah, it could be a list. But remember, we talked about we don't want it to be a list. What if we want it to be like the number of laps, the texture of the road, the weather of the race,
in space.
What state the raceway is in, how many races has this happened. We want a random list of facts.
So then I'm assuming if we delete facts from the definition, we'd want to scroll down and make a raceway facts list, like in between the if and the print. So I guess we go below Jambot and type in raceway _ facts or facts _ raceway. And then we'd make that equal to okay, you do a string. Sorry, I don't know why I thought you were triple quoting there.
I mean, we could do other things.
No, we can do a string. That's perfectly fine. I just I thought it was gonna be a triple quote. Brain's working ahead when it shouldn't be.
What if we did this? What if we did like this and we said
in space.
oh. What if we wanted to display these facts?
All of them?
Yeah, why not?
I guess we'd want to print, or the print Road, Raceway, and then I guess it'd be Raceway.
What if we only wanted to pass in the length? Sorry, what if we want to pass in the length of the raceway
And the weather.
and the weather?
Well, we'd have to use. Couldn't use enumerate because that's not correct. We have to use that list. Remove that, I assume.
Hmm?
Oh, would that be correct? Fax. Fax is not accessed.
Well, that's because we just haven't done anything with it.
Oh, okay. Well, do we want to hard code the list of facts?
No, because maybe the next time we want to use something different.
Something else. I guess my question is, do we want it to be random or do we want it to be an input?
It doesn't need to be random. We want to determine when we say even better. Okay. Rainbow Road.
So we want to be able to put weather or I mean, this is how I would do it, but I don't think that's what you're looking for. So I assume it would be like Raceway equals Rainbow Road and comma Raceway facts.
So you're saying Raceway facts. And instead of, no, we want to call it like this though.
Because we're calling from that list
Just a
of
preference.
Raceway facts.
Just a preference. This
Okay.
we don't know what these are. Those don't.
We
exist.
don't know what those are.
Yeah.
Those don't exist.
Yeah. We just want to pass in that the weather is in space and that there is no oxygen. And then maybe just maybe, we do this again down here. And we say, hey, what? Oh, come on. Nope, that's our sheep example. Okay, there we go. And then now, in this one, we want to say it's 500 and this is okay. We want both of these to work with the same function.
Okay.
Ignore what I'm doing here. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything that you would do. I'm just making it a little bit easier for you to.
Oh my God.
Don't worry about
Why are
that.
you doing this to us?
Don't worry about
Why
that.
are you doing this to us?
It doesn't exist.
Okay. Raceway equals okay. Okay, I guess my question is why would this not work?
Why would what not
Because
work?
Raceway facts itself isn't. Could you scroll up the Raceway facts really fast? Raceway underscore facts. So if we look at the definition of raceway underscore facts, if we had a semicolon after it, defining or breaking down what it is, it's a string. Could we have string comma string?
Kind of, but not like that.
Not like that. Not like us. Okay. And parentheses because that's
I've said too much.
so. Yeah, you did. So dictionary would allow it to be multiple strings. So if it is a dictionary, we can have it set to be any amount of anything because I think dictionaries can be strings or integers, correct?
Sure.
Don't again play with my emotions like that.
You're missing one thing.
Probably missing like 100 things,
I
but
mean, you're missing like two things, but you're missing one thing which will lead to the next thing.
I hate it. Is it because we haven't defined the dictionary yet?
No, you just. How does it know that these things are raceway facts?
It doesn't because we haven't put raceway facts equals.
How do we make it so that these are the raceway facts?
We'd have to define them as the dictionary.
No, you don't have to. Of course you can.
But that is, you can do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are the dictionary entries unpacked and put directly into the function.
Okay, so you don't have them. I mean, would it be the Chunky Boys?
The Chunky Boys. Oh no. I'm gonna go over to Sheep real quick, and I'm gonna let you look at it.
Yep.
And I'm gonna let you come to. I'm gonna let you look at it for a second.
F key.
Hold on one second.
Awards.
Oh, sorry. There we go.
Oh God, that was so bright.
Yeah, sorry, my eyes were. Some of these were hard to read.
Okay, name, string, attributes, key attributes, dictionary string, any.
Oh, oops. This needs to disappear. I forgot that doesn't work anyway. Okay.
Is it because of the double asterisks?
There you
Am
go.
I missing the double asterisks in the raceway? Fun.
So now I will help you in the assist on this of just race. We'll just say, oh yeah, mostly just to make this keep this from getting too ugly. We'll just say f string. It's a list of f strings. And it'll be the same thing that we had here. So we'll say key is value for key value. Outside of this.
Is key just a normal word they would use in this?
Yeah. Key value, you might say like fact key or fact value or something like that, or for key value in raceway facts. Because remember, when it gets unpacked, so the way that we've unpacked it in our function, drivers is a list, raceway facts is a dictionary. So what we're saying is we're unpacking that dictionary, and each dictionary would have key value We got to tell it to pass items. Otherwise, it's not going to, it'll just be like, I don't know what that is. So it's items is going to return the key followed by the value. So we can say the key followed by the value. Key is value for key, value, and raceway facts. So now we do the same thing here. We do our, should probably also, fix this because that's going to be that. It's not going to like those double quotes inside of the double quotes. So it's going to break things. So single quotes.
Okay, that's how that works.
And dot join raceway facts. Oh, sorry, not raceway facts. I did that wrong. Facts. So now we run this.
Oxygen is false.
Oxygen is false. There is no oxygen. So you have
So question, it didn't put it on the second line because
oh yeah, because I forgot to put another line break in here.
okay.
And then just to clean this up. And honestly, what you'll see some people do when they do things like this, perfectly fine to do this. You can say return why my brain broke for a second?
Because you've been letting me talk for too long.
No.
I'm dumbing you down.
You can take a string. You can separate these strings.
Later, learner.
And again, a lot of this is going to be preference, but you'll see it written both ways. So you'll see people take a list of strings, separate them, and then just put the thing in, or you'll see them unpack it all inside of a single string with the F string.
Okay, so the top one is unpacking it all. The bottom one is separating. Oh God, you fucking.
Sorry.
You're fine.
So instead of doing for the raceway, new line, some logic, new line, some logic, new line, you could just do
new line dot join and then for the raceway.
Yeah, and then you have this list of items here, and then the list of items will just be whatever you want them to be. And this is similar. This is why I didn't know what that separator thing was, because anytime I have a list of things and I print, I usually do it this way. Oh, whoops. That's supposed to be inside of that list as well. Sorry. Like that. So now when we call this, what we should see is, boom, for the race. Oops. That is still an F string. So for the race, Indy 5K, Jen is in the blue car, Kojo's in the black car, Dairo's in the purple car, Jimbo Botjampa's in the green car. The number of laps is 5,000, and the previous winner is Kojo. But for the same function, we were able to do the same thing for Rainbow Road and not have to change our code, even though we were passing in different values, because we just passed in weather and space and oxygen.
Okay.
Because they're doing the same thing. We only wrote one function. So the one function is doing the same thing. It's getting the lineup, it's generating the lineup, and then it's generating the facts. And it's returning that as a report or as a whole statement. And again, this is like a type of thing that you'll often see. You know, expanding on this, you might see something like, instead of doing all of this might be its own separate function. So if you would say
Lineup.
yeah, so you'd have generate lineup, and you just have the list of drivers. Same thing. List driver, and you'll say and usually the law is like if you're right, if it's one single line you don't need two functions, but you'll sometimes see this is all you'll see this from time to time. Lineup is equal to an empty string. Yeah, come on now. And then you'll see this unpacked like this.
Okay. I think I understand that. Like, oh, okay. You just okay. Now I'm confused. Before I wasn't confused. Oh, okay, okay. For the definition of lineup. Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. So you start with an empty string. You'd start with that empty lineup, and then you would iterate through those drivers, and then you would just add this to the lineup and then return it.
And then you would define the drivers not in lineup itself, but
yeah. So
in the
this
function of rich drivers.
Yep. So instead of doing lineup, you would just say lineup is equal to generate lineup star drivers, like that. Gotcha. So it does the same thing, but now you could have a little bit more logic in here. Let's create a second data class.
Oh God, it was only so much.
Oh, you're good.
Well, now it's so much more.
This is how programs live. So you have lanes.
You would have name. Oh, lanes. Oh shit, we're going crazy.
Yeah. So maybe you just have lanes and you have name.
And then you have facts, apparently.
Mm.
No, because facts is a different one.
Sure. I mean, you could say previous winner is a driver and the default is none. And you could say oxygen. So when I said that Python doesn't care about your types, data classes do care about your types. That it's like it's like the only time that Python cares about your types. And it was very controversial when it came out because people were like, "Oh, wait a minute, Python don't care about your types." We're like, "Well, in this thing it does," and that's more just to do some. It does some validation behind the scenes. So yeah, oxygen, weather is a string. So yeah, you could have all these, and we'll make all these optional. So we'll say, why can't I? Nope, oh, I broke it again. Every time I do that, I break my keyboard. I start typing, and it's like keyboard's broken.
Bluetooth keyboard?
No, it's no, but there's like there's certain key combinations that will do a thing.
Gotcha.
And it's in the place of like a character that is not normally typed, in which that pipe is that character.
Gotcha.
Which is why I always struggle to remember what it is. And I have a key map that I can.
But you have to update.
Yeah. Yeah. So see, this is the problem. Where is it at?
Oh.
Yeah. So my keyboard has to, and oh, it's right there. I forgot. I even mapped that to that. Who would have known that I could just apparently not do that because it's like nah. It's like nah. You didn't map it to that. It's like just give up. Just give up. Just stop. There it goes. None, and that's equal to none. So
I assume the space does or does not have to be there.
the space does not does or does not have to be there. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's just easier to read. All right. So
Yes.
now we could populate all these things, right? This is this is fine. This is great because what'll happen here is so let's look at this. Since we've added our lineup, generate lineup
Mhm.
is here, right? So what happens if you have more drivers and you got lanes?
Someone falls off the track.
Well, yeah. So you say Rainbow Road is equal to Raceway, and we got to give it all. Number of lanes is 2. Um, name is Rainbow Road. You would probably, again, this is one of those things of like, why am I trying to remember what the actual values are? Why don't I just do name equals Rainbow Road lanes equals to.
Doesn't
And then
matter
we,
which order then if you just name them.
yep, the order
Hard to
does not
find them.
matter if you just name them like that. In space, and oxygen.
It's none.
So like you could do that, and then you could say
False.
Indy 5K, same thing. Is Raceway. Name is. Nope. Name. Lanes is 8.
Oh, I was gonna say 8,000. So many
Previous winner.
winners.
What did I say previous? It has to be a
Driver.
driver. So single driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it on that. Oh.
Would you put driver or would you put just a name there?
Well, it's expecting a driver.
Okay.
And you can start doing things to these functions. So now, when we say generate lineup, why don't we do this? Raceway equals the raceway that we pass in. And we try to do this first. So we'll say if the length of drivers is greater than, well, let's add the raceway to this. Raceway, and that's a raceway. If the length of drivers is greater than raceway.lanes, raise value error.
We'd have to define the value error.
Yeah. This is how like real life programming works. Is that like, oh hey, thank you so much, Damien, for your function. However, I noticed that you can apply an infinite amount of drivers. I want to create a thing that checks whether or not there's enough drive,
space for
if
that.
there's enough space in there. Assert would be a good example. Yeah, you could do an assertion as well.
Speaking French.
It's one thing you could. I never really see assertions done outside of testing, which that's not a. I don't think that's a testing specific thing, right? Simple statements. Oh yeah, you can. You just assert a thing. The assert statement. So if you assert something, you get an assertion error. But so basically, it's either true or an error is raised. So this is often a thing that you would see like in testing, where like if we wrote the test for this would be like assert this if this, or assert that this error was raised, or PyTest has a certain way of doing it. Which I know my brain is, I'm getting tired. Um, but yeah, so like what we've done the same thing here, except for now what we should get is an error. String attribute has no
Lanes.
attribute length. Oh yeah.
We didn't
Because
have lanes defined.
well, no, we just changed. These are no longer strings. They're now
Oh,
Rainbow
they're
Road,
now
and
8,500.
yeah. Well, you said Indy 5000 the first time, so I ran with it.
Fair
That's a long drive. So yeah, so now what we get is a value error that says the number of drivers exceeds the number of lanes, and we could even make it a little bit more specific, and we could say, where do we go? Where's our little error? Yep, it's on raceway.name.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's the number of drivers, and we could even do number of drivers colon, and then drivers. Oh, you might have asked me. Oh no. You might have asked me earlier about the walrus operator, and I might have skipped over it.
Yeah, I did. I don't know. Are you defining that for me now, or
Yep. So instead of writing length of drivers twice, you can now just say number of drivers.
what? God damn it! This is why I didn't want to go further.
Don't worry about it. That is me. Just that's a flex. That's
That
pure
is a
flex.
flex. I see that.
That's just pure flexing.
What the
The walrus
fuck?
operator is this that colon equal sign.
Mm-hmm.
It works only in an if statement. I think it also works in a while loop, if statement, while loop, and
It
then
doesn't
you
work in a
can
for or an else.
no. Um, but what it does is it gives you this it allows you to assign a variable to a thing happening. So usually you would see it under like, oh hey, I need the result of this thing. I'm gonna need that for later. So the result of this thing is equal to this, whatever this variable is. And it saves me from having to basically say, oh yeah, it works in print. Oh nice. I did not know that. It saves me from going num of drivers is equal to len drivers, and then if num of
Okay.
drivers is down here. All
Gotcha.
it just combines a line.
Saves you a line, another line of
Yeah.
text. That's right. Okay.
And some people
Okay.
don't like it because they're like, well, that makes it harder to read. And I'm like, get over it. I like the walrus operator. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the walrus operator. So yeah, so now I have the number of drivers exceeds the number of lanes on Rainbow Road, and we could do the same. We could, we don't necessarily, we can't do two walrus operators. At that point, then you're like, okay, stop being
It's too
fancy.
much.
Yeah, you would just say like num of drivers. Maybe you could even say num of drivers, num of lanes, and make that equal to length of drivers, comma, length
Like
of
the raceway.
raceway dot lanes. And you could have those on separate lines. It's just you don't need to. It's yelling because it doesn't have. It's like, fam, you haven't used that second one. Yeah. So then we can say if number of drivers is greater than number of lanes. And this is again that flexibility in Python is one of the things that makes Python so fun.
One is definitely a light bulb.
Yeah. Yeah. So like that. So now when we get this error, we say, I lost the semicolon here somewhere. There we go. Yeah, so now we get type of integer has no length. Oh, type of yeah. My bad. Just this is just raceway lanes. There we go. Yeah, so the number of drivers 3 exceeds the number of lanes on Rainbow Road 2. So like you can do fancy things with it by assigning these values. And then we would just change. We would have to give up our fancy keyword arguments. And again, you're not going to use these a lot. But what you might do now, because raceway itself is now this object, you can just say, So what we might say here for facts are equal to key is value for key value in raceway facts items. I'm about to break your.
It's already broken, bro. Why are you doing more? It's kicking me while I'm down.
Wait.
Okay.
Facts is equal to generate a list of key is value for key comma value in facts dot items if value is not none.
Why?
And this just becomes raceway.facts. Or technically, no, because we haven't defined what facts are. We got to define what facts are here. So then we say property define facts self return.
Okay, what is the at property? Fine, I know what the at property is. I know it is melted time.
All right. I'll give you a break on that, mostly because I don't want to type this up. Property. All property does is allows you to turn a value, like basically create a function, and instead of in a class, if you have def something, that's called a method. You can turn that into an attribute by passing property into it. Property is also called, sometimes it's called a getter and setter.
Okay.
I use these a ton in my static site generator here. I'm gonna go here. Don't worry about that. Nope. Base object is probably the easiest. Okay, yeah, here we go. All right. So we have this base object. This base object just has things in it. Oh yeah, see, those work right. From there we have a title, and then what we want to do is we want to create this value called underscore title. Underscore title, all you need to know what that is what we're actually reading from when we're operating in the space, when we're doing things. So like, it doesn't really matter what the title is, because all we really care about is, I'm going to call underscore title. And what underscore title is going to do is it's going to look for that title attribute that we set. We say, if we say title is this, it's going to look for that attribute. If it can't find that attribute, then it's going to give us the class name. And the reason I do that is if I go to my personal website here, hold on, how do I open website, routes. So notice here where I have conferences and pages and blog and all posts and index. None of these I'm defining what the title is, right? I can still get the title of this page as index because of that property that I set right here.
Oh,
So all throughout Render Engine, it's going to look and it's going to say, hey, what's the title of this? Oh, you didn't define a title. Because you didn't define a title, I'm going to use the class name as the title. So the de facto title for this page is going to be index.
because the class is index.
Yeah.
So it's going to de facto to classes name.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we'll see that inside.py. Inside.py, you'll see blah, blah, hold on. Yeah. So we're creating this little page sub method here, and we say page is equal to underscore page, page.title is equal to the true title, whatever the true title is of this thing. And that's it.
That's it. He says, "Yep, that's it."
Yeah. But that's why I like teaching y'all the basics. That's why I want to teach y'all about sheep and have you go and learn about the farm, and then you put that star here because you don't know who's the shepherd and who's the inspector. And then we also learn about keyword arguments because here you may not have this information. You might have, or this information might be in a CSV file, and you don't want to convert it into some other value. Especially you're wanting to do like SRE stuff. That star quargs is going to be your best friend. Your best friend. Because you're going to have things like logreader.py, and it's going to have def parse record, and it's going to be entry quargs, something like that. Cool. And all you know is that you're getting a file. And so you're going to, for key value in entry quargs.items, if key is equal to status, or actually even better, you're going to say entry quargs.get status none, and then you'll pass that into an if statement. So you'll say if status is equal to error, print something. And then
Gotcha.
Print, and you'll just do entry quarks like that. You just print the whole thing out. Else save to disk. I don't know. Save for later, or just do nothing. Yeah. So now all that does is you're gonna have it read out you're gonna have it iterate through a bunch of logs and say like, hey, if the status is none, then do a thing. Or maybe you get a list of these and you just want to match these keys and values. You may not even want that. You might just want if or for key value in entry args.items. If we'll do this, we'll say record is addict, and you'll say hold on, I'm trying to think of how I would write this. Yeah, 4K, even better. 4K in entry keys. There we go. 4K in entry quargs.keys. for line in record, which actually you do that the other way around. That way you're only going through each line once. For line in record.
Okay.
And that does matter because, like, imagine you have 3 different keys you're looking for, and you have 2 million records. You wouldn't want to look through all 2 million records 3 times. You would want to look through each record thrice. Because otherwise you're like loading all those in memory versus like line 1, da-da-da, do something with it, da-da-da, do something with it, da-da-da, do something with it. So yeah, for line in record, for entry in Quargs, if line dot get key or k false, sure, print line, something like that. Where record is
something like that.
Yeah, because I mean, you don't know what record in this case is some dictionary of keys and values
That is defined elsewhere.
Yeah. So, for one router, it might be, router 1 equals parse record, router 1 file, and I'm saying router 1 file is like you've read this file in, it's some values, and then you want to look specifically for status equals critical, or maybe you want to, or you also want to look for user is equal to J. But then in server 2, you want to parse the record, and you're going to have server 2 file, whatever. And then you're looking for status. It doesn't have critical, it has error. And you're looking for admin equals yes. So you don't have to change what your parser is. You just got to change the keys that you're looking for, and then point it to whatever file you want. That is an extremely common test case or use case. When you're just like, oh, you've got 15 gigs worth of log files that get generated daily. This might be a Kafka stream, got consumer blah 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 something Kafka stream, consumer.consume, and then you're passing this in. Yeah. Oh, I like how Dyro put it. This is why he likes Python, because those status messages, those can be an enumeration, which is just like a number. It can be a number itself. It can be a string. It can be any of those things. And you've got to be able to write code. And what you'll see is you'll see people do it the wrong way, and they'll have 15 versions of this that they run separately, versus having one function that can read everything, and then 15 scenarios in which you're checking.
It would be reading from.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
So yeah, this is why, like with functions, it's important to understand a lot of these smaller bits so that it's easier. Yeah, so it's easier to then go in and do different things. Because I could definitely see this as like a Kafka thing where like all of a sudden you just got error messages coming in and you don't know what the error message is. You just got some record, and you're looking for any number of potential issues just based on the situation. And this is, I mean, you were talking about match case before. This is where you would use something like match case, because you could say, match E if E is equal to northern line, then parse record, whatever, case E equals, or actually that's not it. It's just case northern line, case southern line, then parse record something else. You could do things like that. So then you can say like, oh, based on what the consumer is in this Kafka thing, or this consumer group, or this partition, or this server name, or this switch, or whatever, I want you to do a thing, but I'm going to tell you what you're looking for based on that. And then your logic code is only written one time. So whenever you got to change that logic code, you only got to change one file versus 15.
Okay.
Yeah. I know I have exploded your brain thoroughly, but I wanted to make sure that
At least you know.
yeah, like I want to give you as much information as I can while also helping you understand what it leads to.
Gotcha. Okay.
And
That's
with
fair.
and with the Kaggle nerds saying like, we'll talk about this, but it's not important. Well, then don't talk about it. Or
That's also fair.
or even better, like we assign variables to a thing. It's like that's great that you do that. Or you don't have to define a function. I was like, there's so many things about functions that they're not talking about, and I know why they're doing it. They're doing it because they're teaching people who are like, we looked at the backgrounds
Brand
of
name.
yeah, like, well, we looked at all the backgrounds of the authors, and the authors are data science people. So you're often talking to people who are data scientists, or they work in a lab, and like they are using Python for a very functional process, which is like, I don't really need to know all the ins and outs of how this function works. I just need to know how to write a simple function. But I don't teach people like that. I'm teaching people like, I'm turning you into a Python developer. It is what it is. Like, if you came to me to learn Python, you're going to be a Python developer. You're not going to be a person that uses Python. You can be a person that uses Python and a Python developer at the same time. But
That's fair.
all right, man. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for almost 3 hours.
Hey, thank you for teaching me for 3 hours. Jesus.
Yeah,
I feel like it's harder on you than it is on me.
we'll go over classes next time.
Oh boy.
Maybe we'll do a review.
There.
I feel like we're missing some of the Boolean logic and like conditional stuff. So we'll jump on that.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, y'all.
Later, guys.
All right, thank you for everyone hanging out. Y'all take care.